Greetings, viewers, and welcome back to Just Short of Fantastic. It's the end of July, and we have a heat warning in effect, but I am wearing a scarf because it is literally the most Halloween thing that I have right now that is not packed into storage. Eagle-eyed viewers will also note that I am lower than I usually am, and that's because I cleaned off my desk this morning. It was a whole thing. My desk was really high, and then it was too low. And now, like Goldilocks, I got myself together enough to clean everything off and adjust it so it is the perfect height. For me, a professional short person. Anyway, here we are in August. I hope that everyone is doing okay. We are almost to spooky season, the best season. And I have indeed decided that this month's vlog is going to be my Hocus Pocus 2 predictions and questions. I hope you're excited because here we go. I have an unorganized list of unhinged expectations that will never happen. So in no particular order, here we go. So as per the trailer that we saw, we have our three young friend protagonists, Becca, Cassie, and Izzy. I haven't watched the trailer enough to figure out which one is turning 16. I don't know who it is. I don't really care. However, I am very much invested in this plot about like a 16-year-old witch getting their powers on that birthday, and about the friends going out into the woods to do their ritual. And I am really hoping that this is like a feminist Wiccan reversal on the whole, like, virgin has to light the black flame candle from the first movie. I hope they just lean into that because it'd be great, while also bringing in the camp from the first movie. Also, on the Sanderson sisters' side, I hope that it's like a redemption arc. I really do. I hope that the Sanderson sisters come back. It's been about 30 years since their last venture here, and I hope that they come into this world and they realize that it is more magical and chaotic than they could ever hope to achieve with traditional witchcraft. I truly hope that at some point they realize that the world has changed so much in the last 30 years, like way more than it had ever changed in the 300 years that they'd been away the first time, and that they realize that, and they just integrate successfully into society. And I've got 3 things that I really want to happen, but they are completely unhinged, and I know that they never will. Number 1, Sarah, the boy crazy one, discovers dating apps. I want her to just be given a smartphone and somebody shows her Tinder and she just looks at it like, I can use this device to find boys? And I just want one of those 16-year-old protagonists to be like, why not? You'll find plenty of 30-year-olds with the emotional maturity of a 14-year-old on there. Go nuts. Number 2, I want Winifred to discover TikTok, and I want her to become a viral sensation. Let's be honest, she already is, she just doesn't know it. And I can imagine her being on TikTok and just doing her spell shit, being like, I will live forever. And again, one of those protagonists being like, sure, if the algorithm doesn't send you to the TikTok graveyard. You know Winifred would put a spell on that algorithm. Number 3, and this is perhaps the one that I am most invested in, I want Mary to discover like a whole bunch of self-help and meditation apps, and I want her to finally leave her toxic family for like a better, more supportive circle of female friends. That's pretty much in the now for the mental health trends, but where it becomes really unhinged and where I personally get invested is I want her to come out as a lesbian. Okay, we've got Sarah, who's like the cis hetero boy crazy one. She's got that on lock. And then we've got Winifred, who is very clearly an asexual, or maybe demisexual. I guess she did have that fling with Billy. But let's be real. Her first love is the stage. But Mary is a clear lesbian. And even though she was a witch, she couldn't follow her true desires because Puritans, and even among the witches, it was a little bit too risque. Also, I mean, let's be honest, in the shadows of her way too extreme sisters, she was never, ever gonna flap her own wings and fly off into lesbian glory. But now, she can. I want her to find some self-help apps, meditate, lose her toxic family, find the lesbian love of her life. And I think it would be awesome if that lesbian love of her life was one of the protagonist's newly divorced bisexual moms. I did warn you it was a little bit unhinged. I mean, I know Pixar's been on a roll with the lesbian representation. Keep up the good work, Pixar. But I think we really need it in those live action films. And I know Kathy Najimy is a friend to the community. I mean, most women were burned at the stake because they were lesbians, but they were called witches. So just give the people what they want. All right, so those are my expectations, completely unhinged. In a post-Chippendale Rescue Rangers 2022 world, literally anything can happen. Anyway, let's move on to some questions I have. I only have a few. So, will any of the original children from the first movie appear? I want to know. Will the little girl, Dani, be still in the town? Is this even taking place in the same town? I mean, I assume that it is, because why else would the Sanderson sisters show up? But who knows? I mean, it's not like they were doing that ceremony in the graveyard. It looks like they were doing it in the woods. But then again, I have no idea. But will Dani make an appearance? Will she warn the girls about the Sanderson sisters? Will she be someone that they can go to once the sisters show up and ask for help or advice, or be like, hey, you managed to get rid of these witch sisters about 30 years ago. What do you advise us to do? Could she be one of the moms of these protagonists? Will we see Max and Allison? Are they happily married? I hope not. I mean, honestly, let's be real. Max would have been turkey dropped so hard once Allison did her first semester at Harvard or Yale, because let's be honest, that's where she would have ended up. Will the dreaded virgin word appear at all throughout the movie? Again, I hope not, because I love Hocus Pocus, but that entire contrived plot point was so weird, and it still is. I watch Hocus Pocus every year for my birthday, and every year I'm just like, why? Will the word virgin appear at all? That being said, perhaps Max is one of the protagonist's parents, thus putting to bed any lingering doubts about his sexual status. It was the 90s! Seriously, Hocus Pocus was a very thirsty movie, and I kind of have the feeling that this one is going to swing all the way in the opposite direction, with the exception of Sarah, of course. And those are my questions and unhinged expectations for Hocus Pocus 2, releasing on Disney Plus on September 30th. Until then, stay just short of fantastic. Oh, I almost forgot. Obviously, we'll be treated to a spectacular musical performance from Bette Midler, and part of me hopes that it's some catchy jazz or Broadway standard, but another part of me really hopes that it's a Disney villain mashup. I'm thinking Poor Unfortunate Souls meets Friends on the Other Side, because that would be an absolute bop.